The 2021 Renault 5 prototype, a glimpse into the future. The 2021 Renault 5 prototype is a concept car that the French automaker unveiled during the presentation of its Renaulution strategic plan in January 2021. A modern tribute to the iconic Renault 5 produced from 1972 to 1996, the Renault 5 prototype previews a production model that will arrive by 2025. The modern Renault 5 will be one of 7 all-electric vehicles that the French brand wants to launch over the next 4 years, but apparently it won't replace the Zoe or the Clio. What makes the Renault 5 prototype special and how much of it will go into production? Let's find out in the review below. Design. Design-wise, the modern Renault 5 is definitely worthy of the iconic 5 badge. Not just a tribute to Renault's classic hatchback, it's also a modern copy of the Super Mini that the French company launched back in 1972. The R5's defining features are visible everywhere, starting with the almost square headlamps set at the corners of the front fascia. The classic model's narrow front grille is gone, but Renault kept a slender black line between the headlamps to simulate the contact area between the grille and the tip of the front hood. Just like on the old R5, a diamond logo pops out in the center of the fascia on the 5 prototype. While the headlamps and the upper fascia are reminiscent of the first-generation R5, the turning signals are actually inspired by the second-generation hatchback, which also featured them right beneath the main lights. Down below, Renault added a decidedly modern feature in the form of thin and rectangular LED daytime running lights around the vents. The bumper also sports old R5-inspired features, such as the 3-piece outlets in the center and the protruding, splitter-like element at the bottom of the bumper. The offset grille on the front hood, usually found on performance-oriented R5 models from the past, rounds off the 5 prototype's front end. The concept's profile is even more proof that Renault made great efforts to keep it as close as possible to the original. The thick side skirts are painted in a different color than the body to suggest the cladding that adorned most versions of the classic R5. The 5 prototype even features squared-off fender flares that contrast the otherwise smooth and slightly rounded bodywork. While flares weren't a thing on most old R5 models, they're a defining feature for the R5 turbo versions and the R5-based rally cars. Even the 6-spoke wheels are inspired by those found on performance-oriented versions of the original R8. Similarities to the old hatchback continue around back through a clean and slanted tailgate section and vertical taillights mounted high on the pillars. Although modern, the LED layout of the lights also harken back to the first-generation R5. A completely new feature is the thin light bar that runs across the tailgate, but the offset diamond emblem with 5 graphics is yet again inspired by the original hatchback. The clean and tall bumper is also reminiscent of the previous R5, and the absence of exhaust pipes is a strong hint that Renault is ditching combustion engines for the modern R5. The French firm did not release photos of the interior, but there's one shot of the windscreen that reveals a 5-seat layout with heavily bolstered front seats. The blue lights on the sides of the headrests are a cool touch. The 5 prototype also features a digital instrument cluster placed high on the dashboard. And you can program it to display "Hello" through the windshield, which should make pedestrians smile as they go by. Powertrain. Renault didn't have much to say about the 5 prototype's powertrain beyond the fact that it's electric. So there won't be internal combustion models like the classic R5, and there won't be any hybrids. The production version of the upcoming R5 will run on battery power only. But what will actually underpin this hatchback? The Renault 5 will ride on a smaller version of the second-generation Renault-Nissan EV platform. The latter will underpin the all-electric Megane that's set to go into production at the end of 2021. Previewed by the Megane eVision, the all-electric Megane will feature an electric motor that sends 215 horsepower and 221 pound-feet of torque to the front wheels. The hatchback will be able to hit 62 miles per hour in 8 seconds and run for up to 280 miles on the WLTP cycle on a single charge. Needless to say, the Renault 5, which will slot under the Megane EV, won't be as powerful. The base version will probably generate a little over 100 horsepower, while an optional drivetrain will pump out almost 150 horses. Renault will also offer a performance-oriented version under the Alpine brand. The Alpine R5 will probably arrive with close to 200 horsepower. Since the Renault 5 was replaced by the Clio in 1996, it's only natural to wonder whether the third-generation R5 will put an end to the current Clio. The answer is no. The upcoming R5 and the Clio will continue side by side. While the Renault 5 will be all electric, the Clio will be offered with combustion and hybrid powertrains. Conclusion. The Renault 5 mostly unknown outside Europe, but it's still a great thing to see it return after nearly 30 years. And if the 5 prototype goes into production with small changes, we could say that Renault hit the spot. Not only it recaptures the cute and fun yet avant-garde look of the original R5, but it also brings it into the future with an all-electric powertrain and modern materials and technology. The fact that Renault will also build a higher performance Alpine version makes things that much better. Love it revives an iconic model, modern underpinnings, potent EV powertrain. Leave it still 3 years away. Renault 5 legacy. The Renault 5 debuted in 1972 and it was part of the first wave of subcompact hatchbacks. The R5 preceded the more iconic Ford Fiesta and Volkswagen Polo by 4 and 3 years, respectively. Viewed as an avant-garde design at the time, the R5 was penned by Michel Bouet in his spare time. When Renault executives found out about it, they were so impressed by the concept that they immediately set up a development program. The 3.5-meter-long hatchback was originally sold with a selection of 4-cylinder engines. During the first generation, which was produced from 1972 to 1985, the lineup included engines as small as 782 cc and as larger as 1.4 liters. The base models came with only 36 horsepower and barely hit 80 miles per hour, while the 1.4-liter model were rated at 62 horses and hit 88 miles per hour. Renault also offered a 1.4-liter turbo 4-good for 108 horsepower and top speeds in excess of 110 miles per hour. These engines powered versions like the 5 Alpine Turbo and Gordini Turbo. Renault also built naturally aspirated Alpine and Gordini models with 92 horsepower. Built in 9 factories spread across 7 countries and 5 continents, the Renault 5 was one of the best-selling cars of its era. With 5.5 million units sold, it was also the best-selling car in France from 1972 to 1986. The Renault 5 was also imported to the US as part of American Motors Corporation's partnership with the French brand at the time. It was dubbed Le Car in North America and it was imported to compete against the Honda Civic and Volkswagen Rabbit. The Le Car was sold stateside from 1976 to 1983 with a 1.4-liter 4-cylinder engine rated at 55 horsepower. In 1980, Renault introduced the 5 Turbo, a more extreme hatchback with the engine mounted behind the front seats. Designed for rallying, the 5 Turbo was eventually offered in a street-legal version to meet requirements for racing homologation. The mid-mounted 1.4-liter engine developed 158 horsepower and 163 pound-feet of torque and enabled the hatchback to hit 62 miles per hour in 6.9 seconds and a top speed of 120 miles per hour. Renault launched the second-generation 5, also known as the Supersync, in 1984. While the platform was completely new, based on the larger 9 and 11 models, the aesthetic remained similar under Marcello Gandini's pen. But the new R5 was a bit longer and wider to provide more interior space. It also adopted a transversely mounted engine and modern suspension. Renault kept the 4-cylinder engine lineup, but the smallest unit was now a 1.0-liter. Renault also introduced a larger 1.7-liter gas engine and a 1.6-liter diesel. Output ranged from 41 horsepower in the 1.0-liter to 81 horses in the 1.7-liter, while the turbocharged 1.4-liter 4-pot generated up to 118 horsepower. The latter powered the Renault 5 GT Turbo, arguably the most iconic variant of the original R5 after the mid-engine 5 Turbo. The second-generation R5 was discontinued in 1996, when it was officially replaced with the Clio, already on the market since 1990. Renault produced a little more than 9 million cars in almost 25 years.
If you liked this video, please share your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to hit the subscribe button.